break free from shame's grip. Psychology Today shares some steps to get your confidence back. We're going to bring back Dr. Jude. So, the first step is to identify the source. Finding the root cause of your shame is the first step toward overcoming it. So, how do we do this, Dr. Jude?
I think it's giving yourself that space to explore. When is the first time you felt shame? You know, and really define the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is something that you've done, shame is who you are. There's a big difference there, and one thing you can do is journal. Do the W's. Where were you the first time you noticed shame? What were you doing? Who was around? What were some of your thoughts and feelings based on that? Follow the threads backwards to get to the core root of where it might have originated.
Dr. G, the second point that the article discusses is targeted. Once you pinpoint your main shame related issues, taking action is crucial. How can people address and
Mhm.
lessen their shame, or at what point do they need therapy? Maybe they need help from someone like you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think therapists are an excellent idea because they're not in your world. It's an objective third party that they have one goal to help you be the best version of yourself and they don't want anything in return. So therapy I think is always a great idea to get that outside opinion. But if you want to do the work on yourself again, I think it goes back to exploring where did it come from? And then once you notice it, if you don't have a therapist, envision the person that is the hero in your life, the person who is your candle lighter, who makes you feel the best version of yourself, what would they say based on the narrative that you've told yourself? Because chances are it started here, then it rolled into this big snowball, and there's very little truth involved in that version of who you believe you are. Let's dismantle it. Let's rebuild you based on who you are, what you've done, your strengths, your abilities, your passion, and change that internal narrative that's really rooted in shame.
I'm wondering, do you have any stories or examples of people you've worked with?
Oh goodness. Um, I do. I do. There was one individual that, it was shame filled with who they had became professionally. They didn't like what they were doing. They didn't like the environment they were in. They really felt stuck and they chalked it up to I'm not good enough. And following the threads backwards, they were able to identify times in sports when they felt they weren't good enough based on the opinions of others and what they believed they should or shouldn't do. And anytime you notice that word should in your vocabulary, I'm going to encourage you to take a pause because should is a shaming word and it's based on what someone else believes you ought to do or ought not to do. And it's not really rooted in what is best for you. So, with this person, they were able to dismantle that internal dialogue and really see things for what they were and not what they wanted them to be or based on someone else's opinion. And they really created a new definition of what they would be doing if they were living their best life professionally. And that gave them the tools that they needed to kind of challenge those thoughts of shame, really hone in on the facts, and have a plan to move forward with creating a life and a profession that they were proud of and that they really wanted to do and were passionate with.
Mm. I love that red
Mhm,
flag. Should. Don't
mhm.
should on yourself. Very true.
That's fabulous.
Thank you so much, Dr. Judy. It's always so wonderful to have you here.